Happy New Month, people. Today we're going to be talking about something interesting, which is sort of like my message for the month. And it's the need for us to extend grace. We're drawing from someone very good, Moses. You know the story, but maybe you've just never seen it in the slide before, but let's get into it. So Exodus 32, the Bible speaking on the golden calf. Prior to this, Moses had spent 40 days, 40 nights at that time with God, where God had given him the 10 commandments he wrote by himself. And, he was telling him how he wanted the tabernacle to look like, giving him really specific details. So it was such a time of fellowship, fasting, no food. Bible records that Moses did not eat or drink. He was just having that really intimate moment with God. And God interrupted it to say, in verse 7 of chapter 32 in Exodus, that the Lord said to Moses, "Go down, because your people whom you brought out of Egypt have become corrupt." Then God was telling Moses how angry he was and everything. And, Moses started pleading, started telling God, "You can't destroy your people. Remember the covenant you made with Abraham, Isaac, you know this, you know that, what will people say," and everything. It's very important for us to know that as at the time God was speaking to Moses, he saw the full picture. He saw how the Israelites were worshiping the calf, calling it Lord, "Oh, you brought me out of Egypt," and all of that. But Moses didn't know what was happening. It was from what God was telling him he was drawing from. And so Moses eventually went to see things for himself. And then the Bible records that in verse 19 of chapter 32 in Exodus, when Moses approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned and he threw the tablets out of his hand, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. God used his hand to write something. You, out of anger, you now flung it. When God was talking, vex reach you. You're the one that was specifying God. You're pacifying him, telling him, "Oh, you know this, you know that, you know that." It reach your turn. You can't vex past God himself, where you don't beg, make it calm down. I don't know how the pigeon entered, but I just had to. And it's very important for us to understand that. That's why Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13:9, "For we know in part, and we prophesy in part." How does this tie into us extending grace? A lot of times as Christians, we hear stories of actions that some of our fellow brothers and sisters in the fold have taken or have done, and we're so quick to judge. "Oh, you shouldn't have done this. What would Jesus do? You should have taken this route." It's always so good to proffer solution when you're not the one in the picture, when you're not the one in the situation. It's always so good. Like, solutions will just be coming, But when we're being faced with that particular situation, when the tables are turned, we even react worse, which is what Moses did here. Now, in extending grace, it's in two folds. One, we have to put ourselves or try to empathize with people, right? When a certain situation plays out, it's not for us to try to box people or judge or say you should have done this and that, but it's for us to just empathize. Maybe if they even derailed, "Oh, we're praying for you, God will help you, God will see you through," and stuff like that, because you don't know how you're going to react when you're being thrown in that situation. And then again, it's for us to extend grace to ourselves. Now, imagine how Moses must have felt after that whole anger had passed, that God wrote something with his hand. "I begged God to not be angry at these people, my 40 days and everything, and all of that. I just threw it all. I shattered, what God had done." Imagine how Moses must have felt. But definitely he had to move past that, and he got into another, he continued the relationship with God. If you read the Bible, you know that he got into another 40 days and 40 nights. But in that moment, it was important for Moses to also extend grace to himself. So the month is November, the next month is December, Christmas is already here, ho ho ho. The year has come to an end. And you're probably doing a self-audit. You're looking at how the year went, the things you said you were going to accomplish, all those new Year resolutions you were going to take. And for some reason, it didn't pan out how you expected it to be. Maybe God had told you XYZ was going to happen, and you're yet to even see the fruits of that manifest, extend grace. Extend grace. If you read Exodus 35, you'll notice that from 34-35, Moses went pacifying God back, telling God, remember, you said this, you said you'll favor me, you said you know me by name. Moses said a lot of things and then was just trying to get back with God. And in Exodus 35, I believe, either 34 or 35, Moses got back into that reading with God. God continued from where he stopped, took him back to the mountain, spent another 40 days and 40 nights with him, completed everything he wanted to tell him. By the time he came down from the mountain, his face was radiant. That's to show you completion of everything God had to say. So this is just very short to the point. Extend grace. To others, extend grace to yourself. God is not rushing anywhere. Yes, time is involved. Yes, interruptions may happen. Yes, the human side of you is going to come out, at certain points or certain instances. But know that God said he will have mercy. He would have compassion on what he would have compassion. And his interaction with Moses, is actually very beautiful. When Moses told him, show me your face, and God said, I'm not be able to show you my face, because if I do, you're not going to be able to leave, but I will show you my back. And after God was, when God was doing that and was proclaiming a lot of things, I am the Lord thy God, XYZ, I will have compassion on what I'll have compassion on, I'll have mercy on what I'll have mercy on. God is still able to show you mercy, regardless of all the things you think you're supposed to be accomplishing right now, or even the interruptions to your journey or call or work with God, or even, to certain situations that has put you in a place where it's like, how do I get back in tune with God? Extend grace to yourself. It's not over until it's over, and just be open-minded and optimistic about this new month. Even as we wrap up, God can still do a lot. The Bible speaking said he will crown your year with goodness and your path will drop with fatness. So it takes only 1 second for God to change the story. Extend grace, extend grace, extend grace. So I see you next time. It's bye for now.